Peep-a-boob. Peep-a-boob.
I'm telling you, Donald Trump owned the pageant for the reason to utilize his power to get, around beautiful women.
Peek-a-boo. Peek-a-boo.
They're standing there with no clue. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Peek-a-boo.
Bellato recalled Trump trying to calm the teenagers down by saying, "Don't worry, ladies, I've seen it all before. Don't you worry, I've seen naked 15-year-olds I'm attracted to before."
Peek-a-boo.
So Donald Trump's flirtations with illegality when it comes to his sexual exploits continue in this edition of Loser Donald. You've heard obviously about the Trump tapes and his desire to grab women by their crotches. Well, he's been busy in other activities too. It turns out that he's not just pathetic when it comes to moving heavily on women and trying to seduce them by buying them futons. Even when he just wants to see something titillating, he goes about it in an incredibly creepy way. So this was revealed earlier this year. Bridget Sullivan, a former Miss New Hampshire, told BuzzFeed last spring that Trump would walk through the dressing rooms of the Miss USA pageant that he was running to stare at the naked contestants. The campaign at the time denied the allegations strongly. Now, what's funny about that, you'll see in a second, it was confirmed more recently by Maria Bellato, the former Miss Vermont Teen USA, who told BuzzFeed that Trump caused a panic in the dressing room when he barged in unannounced as the young women, some of whom were as young as 15 years old, were getting dressed. 3 other former teen beauty queens who wished to remain anonymous corroborated Bellato's account. And so there we have, that's 5 former beauty queens all confirming. Now, Bellato also gave a quote about how she felt when it happened back in the, that was in the late 90s. She said, "I remember putting on my dress really quick because I was like, oh my God, there's a man in here." Bellato recalled Trump trying to calm the teenagers down by saying, "Don't worry, ladies, I've seen it all before. Don't you worry, I've seen naked 15-year-olds I'm attracted to before." Now, look, this could simply be a creepy incident of a guy who was too involved in the day-to-day running of his Miss USA pageant contest, and then he was just wandering around, and he happened to see the women like that. But the campaign denied the allegations 20 or so years after they happened, even though it was already known for years that this was not remotely true and that Trump didn't just happen upon these women. This was his design all along. He'd said this to Howard Stern years and years ago. "I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show and everyone's getting dressed. No men are anywhere and I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant and therefore I'm expecting it. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay?" And you see these incredible looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that. So yes, he goes in intentionally inspecting it, but what he's inspecting is naked 15-year-olds. And so it's not just that he tries to seduce married women by buying them furniture and then they shoot him down. It's not just that he subconsciously understands that if he tries to kiss a woman, she's likely to run away, so he grabs her by the pussy first. Even when he just wants to see something he's attracted to, he does it in absolutely the most non-consensual, creepy way imaginable. By busting into dressing rooms of women who are just trying to compete in some stupid pageant and watching them as they're naked, despite the fact that some of them won't be legal to have sexual relations with for 3 years. Now, this was a while ago. This was 20 years ago or so. But that still makes him an approximately 50-year-old man who is trying to ogle naked 15-year-olds. So look, this is not one of the loser Donalds that should determine your vote in this election. This doesn't have huge policy implications. It does perhaps have legal implications, since he was intentionally, of his own words, trying to see naked underage girls dress. But no, this is just another example of how inherently pathetic he is. That when it comes to his sex drive and his sexual appetite, he knows that women are not interested. He knows women don't want to kiss him. They don't want to be touched by him. They don't want to be seen by him. So he sets up situations through spending millions of dollars so that he can, against their will, at least see something a bit naughty. Doesn't matter if it's a teenager or whatever. Absolutely pathetic. Classic loser Donald on display.
Donald Trump loves a beauty pageant. And by his own admission, he was no stranger backstage while owning parts of 3 different pageants for nearly 2 decades.
They're standing there with no clue. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
In 2001, Tasha Dixon was Miss Arizona, competing in the Miss USA pageant. She experienced this kind of awkward moment firsthand.
Our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked changing into our bikinis.
Dixon was 18 at the time and says watching Trump storm into a dressing room was shocking.
To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him, get his attention. Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
In 2005, 4 years later, Donald Trump bragged to Howard Stern about what he could get away with since he owned the pageants. The conversation uncovered by CNN's K-File.
I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it.
You're like
everything is good.
Later in that same show, Trump is asked if he'd ever had sex with Miss USA or Miss Universe contestants.
Never comment on things like that.
Give us the first letter of the country you had sex with.
How many letters are there?
This comes just weeks after Hillary Clinton brought up Trump's attacks on former Miss Universe Alicia Machado. Trump once described her as Miss Piggy and then told his Twitter followers to find her sex tape. And another video where Trump is seen interviewing Playboy playmates and basks in the glow of a question from CNN's Jeannie Mose.
And have you ever dated a playmate?
I refuse to answer that question.
On the grounds that it may be true?
It may be true.
Tasha Dixon says she's speaking out so voters can get a better understanding of Donald Trump's personality.
I'm telling you, Donald Trump owned the pageant for the reason to utilize his power to get, around beautiful women.
Hey, hello friend, we come to the end already. Have you subscribed yet? Yes, press that subscribe button and the like button and also the share button. Thank you and have a nice day.